This episode of GoBeWYO is brought to you by Fly Sheridan. Save time, fly local, fly Sheridan. Welcome back, Wyoming Knuckleheads. Our guest today, this one's been in a long works because I reached out to you last year, which was dumb of me because then it was right before the winter season. So for a snowmobiling company, you know, that's a terrible time for me to ask you to come on a podcast. But we have Jeff Shanor in studio. Now, Jeff, you do, let's name off everything you're part of right now. Sled WYO. You are part of Spiro Wigwam now with the sessions there. And then you are part of Kui, right? Is that how you say it? Yeah, Kui. Traveling people on hunts.
Yep.
Right? So, and then you were just in Vegas, but that was for your girlfriend's birthday. But you're heading out of town here again for a hunting trip.
Yeah, I've been all over. I've got, honestly, too many things going on.
That's all right.
It's a good problem to have. I've been in an airplane more than I've been in a car the last couple months, but it's been fun. I enjoy what I do, and looking forward to the winter starting.
Yeah. What would you say what would you categorize yourself? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you an influencer? What do you categorize yourself?
Definitely not an influencer. I'm a little weird about that word, but what I would consider myself, I guess you can consider myself an entrepreneur. I own 2 businesses, but by trade, I am a backcountry snowmobile guide and then a full-time freelance photographer and filmmaker. So those are the 2 things that I do full-time.
Awesome. Cool. No, I love that. Yeah. So, how did you get into being you and Carter were kind of talking about it, but how did you get into filmmaking and how did you that's what I want to do?
Yeah. I've kind of always, in high school, I was not artsy at all. I was the least interested kid in art. I like to play sports, and for whatever reason, art was not my thing until I got into, I've been snowmobiling since I was 3, and then my dad ended up getting a camera one day. It was like a $400 camera, so it wasn't too cheap, but it wasn't like the fanciest thing around. And I remember I wanted to get better pictures for snowmobiling, and so that's how it started. I wanted to get cool pictures snowmobiling. I messed with my dad's camera a little bit, got a couple shots, and I was just blown away by the difference between a cell phone and what it was a Canon Rebel, it was just a little DSLR, but I was just blown away by the stuff you could create with it. And I was like, is there a way to make money doing this? Snowmobiling, taking photos, and obviously snowmobiling is only a seasonal thing. I can't do it year round. So I needed to figure out how I can make money with photography during the summer, the fall, those sorts of things. So yeah, just taking pictures of snowmobiles is kind of what got me into
How old were you? When was that?
Oh, this was right out of college, so I was like 19. I didn't get into photography, I didn't get super interested in it until I started working at Sheridan Travel and Tourism. I started interning there, and Sean Parker, who's the executive director, he's a super talented photographer, and then you also have Max Brown, super talented filmmaker, and just having those 2 dudes around teaching me everything they know just got me hooked, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, so, you're like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, so I was there for a long time, and awesome. I've always wanted to do my own thing. So I worked there for as long as I could, and 2 years later, I was thankful for everything they did. But I was like, okay, I want to do my own thing. Yeah, time to spread your wings and do it. You started snowmobiling at 3. Yep. Like by yourself? No, not by myself. I think when I was 4, I started by myself.
Wow, that's crazy.
So actually, I guess my dad put me on a snowmobile when I was a couple months old. So I'd go with him until I was 3, and then I remember one Christmas, I got a little 120 snowmobile, just this little guy, and Santa Claus brought it to me when I was 4, and I started riding then by myself and just kind of haven't stopped since then.
Dang, so started early.
Yeah, super early.
Wow. Really. And so, obviously your dad must love it, and so the whole family loves it. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's crazy. That's
my great-grandpa actually started the whole thing in the 50s. Okay. Snowmobile, and then my grandpa got into it, and then my dad got into it, and just by default, I got addicted to it. Unfortunately, it's a very expensive hobby. So as a college kid, I had to figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's how Sled WYO started.
Yeah. No. So you've got this great hobby that you love to do, but it is expensive. The sleds, I would imagine, are not cheap, and the gas, just to go up and do it is not cheap. But how did that idea come about? Was this kind of the culmination of photography and?
A little bit, marketing. I've always been super interested in marketing. Okay. And I wanted to, for a long time, I wanted to be a professional snowmobiler. I didn't quite know how I can make that happen. There's people that are just super ultra talented, doing backflips, all the crazy stuff that are just they're pros because of how talented they are. I've been doing it since I was 3, but I'm not doing backflips. I don't want to toot my own horn. I am a pretty good rider. You have to be a backcountry guide, otherwise no one's going to want to ride with you. But I'm not out there doing backflips. I'm not the best snowmobiler in the world. So big brands aren't going to pay me strictly to ride.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, how else can I be involved in the snowmobile industry? And actually, out of high school, I didn't go to college right away. I took a semester off, and I worked at a lodge up in the mountains.
Okay.
I worked at Arrowhead Lodge, and they needed guides. So I decided to become a guide. And I liked it. I found out I love showing people the backyard, what we have in the Bighorn Mountains. And
well, you've
that
been
was
doing it since you were 3. So
yeah. And well, a lot of people, they don't like showing people what we have. They want to keep it to themselves or whatever. But I enjoyed it. I kind of lived vicariously through them.
Yeah.
Because since you've been riding since you're 3, you're looking for ways to get that like adrenaline back, or kind of some of the things you experienced for the first time. You're trying to figure out how to get that back because you were doing it for so long. So showing people that have never been to the mountains what can be done on a snowmobile it's the way I can get that feeling that I had when I was younger back, So, I ended up liking it a lot, and ended up going to college after that 6 months was up. And after I got back from college, I was like, okay, how can I've always wanted to be my own boss and do my own thing. So I didn't want to go back and work for someone else in guide. I wanted to start my own company.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the whole deal started.
And then Sled WYO came about, and
yeah.
Awesome. No, that's cool, man. What was the first experience of that where you took somebody out, you're guiding them, and they kind of had that first time experience, and you're like, this is I like this guiding gig.
Yeah, I took a big group out. There was like a group of 7 from North Dakota that I took out. And I remember we went to a super gnarly canyon. It was their first time in the mountains, first time riding deep snow. They rode snowmobiles back east, and it's a lot different riding there. It's mostly trails. They don't get as much snow as we do. But I took them to one of my favorite places to go, just a super steep canyon. And I remember the first time I climbed up the canyon. I got to the bottom of the canyon, and I was like, all right, guys, here's our zone. We're going to play here. There's a lot of features here to play on and, tear it up. And they weren't quite sure what to do because it was so steep, it was intimidating.
Sure.
And so I remember going up and doing a line is what you'd call it, going through the trees or whatever. And I can't hear anything on my snowmobile. When I got back, I watched the video that my dad actually went with me to help me take the group out. And I remember watching the video, and the guys were like, wow, like everyone was freaking out watching me climb this hill because they didn't even think it was possible. They looked at this hill and had no clue you could do that on a snowmobile. And I was like, to me, I've been doing it since I was 3. So I was like, wait, you guys don't know this is possible?
Yeah. You're like, hurry up, guys, let's go.
Yeah. And it was just cool. It was just like, just showing people what's possible in the mountains.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I love to, that's great to hear, there's the experience, you're providing people with the experience that you used to have, and you're trying to recreate it, and get more of those. And then I also like that you said, this, I don't want to call it backwards, but kind of a negative thinking of, we don't want to show all these people, all the cool spots. And you kind of had a post about that a couple weeks ago. You guys were getting some flack from people about, stop showing all these places. And you're kind of like, well, one, it's all public place. So
yeah. Yep. Yeah. I do get every once in a while, there'll be some people in the local community, that they're not necessarily a fan of what I do.
Sure.
But I have to make money. I have to pay the bills, right? So I have to promote the Bighorns as a destination to come snowmobile. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I'm trying to do that, so they'll book a tour with me, and I'll take them out. I'm not necessarily trying to promote the place for people just, everyone and their grandma to come out and tear it all up.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for my own personal reasons to gain business from. But some people think, there's just some people that want the less people in the Bighorns, the better. And
yeah.
I get it. But at the same time.
Well, it's a negative. I think there's, being kind of younger, I think it's, we see the opportunity of, well, we want people to come here and, book a tour with your group and, stay at Arrowhead Lodge or come down to Sheridan and shop. And, I think, having that mentality is better than like, well, we don't want people here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely economic benefit.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
challenge is like, how do you balance economic benefit with recreating responsibly?
Sure. Sure.
And that's something a lot of guide companies might struggle with. But, at the end of the day, the environmental impact that we make is very little.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it stems back to selfishness. You know, they're worried that their favorite place to go might get torn up, or
Yep.
you know, it's like if you're that worried, buy a ranch. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
yeah,
you know, public land.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant for the public to use it. So
yeah, you know, be involved, and you know, if that's an issue of yours, you know, be involved, and I guess try and change it if you really want. But
yeah, you know, and it's something, you know, to give back to. We also try to contribute. We're involved with the local snowmobiling club. You know, we're up there. Last year, I remember we were going down the trail, and I think someone's garbage bag must have ripped from a cabin owner, and we ended up picking up 2 garbage bags full of garbage in the mountains.
Yeah,
and it was like, most people were just driving right by it, and I was like, I noticed one pop can, and then I've noticed another pop can, and we probably spent 2 hours, our group, just picking up garbage off the trail.
Someone else's trash. Yeah,
you know, so whenever you can give back or help out, we do, because we are trying to balance.
Yeah,
you know, come out to the bighorns, but also let's, you know, recreate responsibly.
For sure. So what came first, Sled WYO or your independent contracting for the
Sled WYO came first because I started doing this last year.
Okay.
I started doing Sled WYO last year while I was working at Sheridan Travel and Tourism.
Okay.
And they were great about letting me go up and ride, but I always kind of felt bad for ditching work if we had a client in the middle of the week kind of deal. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to, you know, the dream has always been to do my own thing. So
yep.
Sled WYO came first. I knew with photography, that's what I always wanted to use my photography for, was to promote my own business.
Right.
But like I said earlier, snowmobiling is only seasonal, so I need to, you know, spread the wings a little bit and dive into some other careers or some other opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sled WYO came first.
Cool. Well, that's great that they kind of were letting you do the mixed bag for a little bit, and then, you know, get your feet ready, and then go do Sled WYO.
It was perfect.
How did COVID affect you guys starting that first year, and then you know, COVID? You
know, I don't want to be that guy, but it actually kind of helped us, I think.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people struggled through COVID, regardless of what your political stance is on it. It did affect the economy.
Yeah.
Right. So, luckily for us, being in Wyoming, we are socially distanced already as it is. People were looking to get away from stuff. So we were kind of like the ideal location. And, you know, snowmobiling, you're out in the backcountry, you have helmets on. You know, it really didn't, I think it kind of helped us, honestly. And it wasn't like, you know, I feel bad for saying that with all the struggles that went on, but I mean, what was I supposed to do? Say no?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
so
exactly.
Like,
nothing wrong about that, you know. So I think no, I'm just curious to hear that. So did you guys were you guys expecting those numbers, or did you guys like just, you know, just it blew out of the water, or what was it kind of like when people were starting to book with you guys?
You know, it didn't blow us out of the water. We were steady for our first year, and I was super happy to see that. We were booked every single weekend from February to March. That's the peak season, and that's what I wanted to see. It's like, okay, I want every weekend to be full. And if we can mix in a couple tours in the middle of the week, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it was pleasant. It was nice.
Awesome. Cool. No, that's great. That's great, man. And how many people work for Sled WYO?
So last year was just myself and Riley Sessions.
Okay.
Riley Sessions did great. He's one of my guides. He's now in Denver working. He's still going to guide for me, but he won't be up here in Sheridan as much. He's looking at coming back. So this year I'll have Riley. And then I added 2 more guides. And then also, well, actually I added 3 more guides. My girlfriend, who's just a badass on a snowmobile, she doesn't know the backcountry enough to take people out on her own, but she will be a guide. She will have someone like myself or a Riley with her to take people out.
Sure.
And we're going to start getting her trained so that she can take people out by herself.
By herself, yeah.
So Anna Zawada, she'll be a guide. And then I have a young kid, Anthony Kleisner, who's a super talented young kid. He's actually younger than I am. And then we have Mr. Bob Barlow, who is going to be doing our scenic trail rides.
Nice.
He does the horseback riding up at Spiro.
Yeah.
A lot of people know who Bob Barlow is.
Yeah, yeah.
He wanted to do snowmobiling, so he's going to take out families and stuff.
And so that, you know, I would imagine the scenic ones are a little less adrenaline.
Yeah, that's exactly how we advertise it too. A little less adrenaline. Last year when you invited me to be on the podcast, another reason, you know, we were already super busy. I was working full time, 8 to 5. But I was like, well, we're not quite ready for the publicity yet, right? Because with your connections in the local community, I wasn't quite ready to promote to the locals yet because we didn't have really a way to take them out. We didn't have rental snowmobiles. We didn't have gear. And most locals, if they want a backcountry experience, they already know where to go on the Bighorns, right? Most of our clientele is Midwest. You know,
yeah, they're coming
away.
here, they're visiting, yeah.
And so, but I always wanted to do scenic trail rides. So that's something new to this year to get the local community involved, because I know people in Sheridan, they want more things to do in the winter. So we're bringing on scenic trail rides, which are 3 to 5 hour trail rides. You can go up in the mountains and just get the family out. That's all we really want. If you're not looking to do the epic backcountry, and you just want to spend a nice day in the mountains in the winter, get the family up and going, we're going to do scenic trail rides, and Bob's going to take that over. So he's going to take people out.
Heard it here first. GoBeWYO.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
That's awesome. No, yeah. I mean, 3-4 hours. Gosh, you just take your kids up there, do it, come back. That's a day.
Yep.
There you go.
We'll have lunch up there and probably see a moose or two usually.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Just a good way to get outside.
Yeah. And you're supporting a local business. You know, I think that's always important to tell people. You're supporting a local business. Yep. You know, and that's fantastic. No, that's cool.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and so Sled WYO started. You know, you're obviously doing your own photography, video work for that business. How did you get tied into? Because you're also are you the director of Spiro, or what's your role with Spiro now?
Yeah, so I tell people I'm the creative director just to save explaining to them how I'm involved.
Okay.
Really, they're a client of mine.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
My girlfriend's, she's the general manager
Gotcha.
of Spiro.
Yep. Okay.
So she kind of runs all the day-to-day stuff. And,
awesome.
Yeah, I do a lot of work
Very
up there
cool.
at Spiro Wigwam.
How did Sled WYO's going? When was the thought of, okay, you know, the season's about to end, I need to probably have start getting into, the contractor world of your photography.
Need some clients in the summertime.
Yeah.
So I actually, so the Sessions, the family that owns it, they're big snowmobilers.
Gotcha.
And so I grew up snowmobiling with Riley Sessions and Steve Sessions, and they actually asked me if I wanted to manage Spiro.
Okay.
And, after looking at what my girlfriend does and all this stuff that she has to do, she does a great job, but I'm so glad I didn't accept that, because I wanted to do photography and filmmaking. That's kind of, if I have to really love what I'm doing to be passionate about it.
Yep.
They asked me if I wanted to do it. I said no, but I have someone who's more than capable.
Yeah.
And I told Anna, I was like, hey, they're interested in hiring you to do this, because she was kind of looking for a new career path. Mm-hmm. And I told myself, if she accepts this job, then I will quit my full-time job at Travel and Tourism, because I was still working there.
Oh, gotcha.
If she accepts this job, because she's gonna have to live up there, I don't want to be, I don't want to be separated from her. So we're gonna go live up there. And she accepted it, and I was like, okay, well, it's time for me to finally pursue my dream as well, and dive into the full-time freelance world. So
awesome. Okay, cool. No, that's great. And then so Spiro kind of giving you guys a shot there, from the Sessions, but who were some other projects that people might not know of that you did that were kind of your first? You were like, this is these are fun independent work that I wanted to do.
I also started doing work for a company called WYO when I was working full time.
Okay.
Eventually, I got enough freelance contracted work when I was working full time that I was like, okay, it's time to
cut the cord here. Yeah.
I can't do everything, so one's got to go. So I started doing work for WYO, and they're definitely my biggest client.
Yeah.
They're
how did that come about?
I did a video when I was working at Travel and Tourism for their marketing director, about their marketing director's wife, Stephanie Wilkerson.
Okay.
She's a super talented metalsmith here in town, singer, songwriter, just everything art she's involved in, it seems like, interior designer. We did a feature on her, a little mini documentary. At the time, he was working at Weatherby, and eventually he got the gig with WYO, and they were looking at doing some more video work, and he loved that video I made about Stephanie and reached out to me, and I was like, heck yeah, outdoorsy hunting, like that's
You're like, this right up my alley. Yeah,
I love it, and it's been great so far. I've been going on some awesome stuff. So,
what was your first big trip with them?
Oh, first big trip,
or your first one? Yeah, what was your first one?
Oh, I went to Nevada.
Okay.
And filmed an antelope hunt. So that was like my first hunt. I'm not a hunter by trade, so it was kind of an interesting experience to me. Just going on a hunt. I never thought in a million years I would be going hunting. I just didn't grow up doing it, and So that was cool. We went to Nevada and filmed an antelope hunt.
Who were the hunters? Were they just?
Yeah, this is one of the hunter that I filmed, and this hasn't released yet. These
okay.
haven't released
you don't
yet.
have to say then. I don't know if you're allowed to say or not. So.
Yeah, it's like some of the hunts I can't talk about yet.
Yeah.
But I think I'm comfortable talking about Nevada.
Okay.
The Nevada one. It'll just be out next fall.
Okay. Cool.
When he's in a World Game gold medalist archer.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
So it was an archery hunt.
It was an archery hunt.
Oh wow.
Yep. Spot and stock antelope archery hunt. It was pretty cool.
So did they they tell you any like you said, you're not a hunter by trade, so they're just like, hey, just meet these guys here, bring your stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
You're like, oh, like,
yeah.
what am I supposed to expect here?
I didn't know what to expect. I kind of got the gist of it. I watched a bunch of hunting films just for inspiration, and I was like, okay, just try not to mess it up. My job as a photographer and filmmaker is just be a fly on the wall. I don't want to influence the hunt. So I just, followed directions. He told me stay on my hip. I stayed on his hip. Be quiet. Just
don't make noise. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Very cool.
Just trusting them. They're the experts, so they kind of tell me everything that I need to know, and I'm like, yes, sir.
Awesome. Yeah. And is there anything funny from that first one that you always take with you, or?
No, nothing funny.
Or unexpected, maybe.
It took this guy 14 attempts, and we joke that I'm kind of bad luck because I watched these antelope hunts, and in Nevada the antelope are a lot different for some reason. They're way more skittish than they are in Wyoming. I've told people I was going to Nevada to film an antelope hunt. They're like, why are you going to Nevada? And it's like, there's antelope in Wyoming, and I was like, well, guy's not from Wyoming, but still.
You're like I'm not hunting.
Yeah, I'm not hunting, and the guy's not from Wyoming, and but they're like, antelope, really? And I was like, why are they filming an antelope hunt? I was like, I don't know. But it turns out these antelope in Nevada are just on a different level than Wyoming ones.
Interesting.
Here you drive by them on your way to Walmart.
Yeah, right.
You can yell at the antelope, but they saw you 400 yards out, they were gone.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and you got to get within like 100 yards at least to get a good shot on them for archery, and it was tough. Yeah, it was tougher. So we just kind of joked that I was kind of bad luck.
You're bad luck for him, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Any other hunts that you've been on that are coming to mind, or just stories about them? Because I know, like you said, there might be some that you can't talk about, but
yeah, I've got
that you never thought you would do. How about that? Like,
I got some cool ones, but I shouldn't share them.
Shouldn't say. Okay, that's right.
Shouldn't share them yet. You'll see them. You'll see them next fall, hopefully.
Okay,
but,
cool. Yeah. That's awesome. No, that's cool. That's. I think that's just a cool. That's something that people probably would never think about. To be a filmmaker / photographer, getting hooked up with hunting. That's that's starting to be a big kind of thing.
Well, it's just cool that, that's what I love so much about photography and filmmaking is just all the crazy places it's taken me that I never thought in a million years I would go on. I get to film rad people doing rad things. And that's kind of what I like. It takes me on adventures that I never in a million years would I thought I would have been on.
Yeah.
I was just in a helicopter in Arizona filming them capture bighorn sheep for a conservation project. I was literally in a helicopter chasing bighorn sheep. It was just when I was in the helicopter, it was one of those moments where I was like, holy cow, I'm here right now. What am I doing? How did I get here? I went from taking pictures of snowmobiles to chasing bighorn sheep in helicopters and, filming Bison Drives and just all sorts of crazy things.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now I've heard about this Bison Drive because this was with Bison Union, correct?
Yep.
Has that been released anywhere?
No, I don't think they ended up releasing it.
It's like a lost story.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not too sure where it ended up. I remember it was basically a concept video, if I'm remembering right.
Oh, okay.
We were filming a teaser. I didn't edit the teaser. We just got the footage, and I think they ended up picking another show. I can't even remember what the show was that they picked up. It was for Discovery Channel.
Oh, okay.
Discovery Channel or History Channel. And they ended up
going with someone
going
else.
with a different show. I don't know. Something about it. They were like, oh, I don't know.
Sure.
It didn't have anything to do with the footage. I think we were up against 3 other shows. And
so it was that's cool.
Yeah, they were just looking at different routes for a new TV show, and I guess a bison ranch. I don't know what happened. I'm not the best spokesperson on that. But
you mean a bison ranch in Wyoming doesn't sound interesting?
I thought it sounded cool. Yeah. I was like, this is gonna be sweet, and it just happens. It's just cool. Just TV.
Yeah. Well, I knew you were a part of it. I've always heard bits and pieces of, I don't know, whatever, just of that filming of that. And
Yeah.
I never knew. I was like, what was it for? And so that's so it was for a TV show. That's pretty cool. Have they taken you anywhere? You could probably say this. Have they taken you anywhere outside of the States?
Nope.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to. I just kind of started doing all this crazy travel a couple months ago.
Okay.
And one thing I actually, it took me 22 years to get my passport. I just never got one. And so last year I got my passport. I haven't used it yet. I've been looking around and looking forward to that first international trip. But yeah, nowhere international yet.
Okay. No, cool. That's
just for anyone listening out there, if they're like, oh, okay.
If you got a gig that's international, I'd love to hit you up.
Hey, we do have international listeners. I will say that. Spotify was showing me. So I don't know if they're in the hunting areas like New Zealand and
any sort of adventure. If you need outdoor adventure, I'm in.
Sweet.
Send me a message.
Love it. Love it. Let's see here. So, I mean, that keeps you busy. Spiro keeps you busy. You know, you guys are gearing up right now for the winter season for Sled WYO. You know, any other projects that you've been asked to do that you've never thought you were ever going to do?
No, you know, I've been super busy with a lot of hunting films and you know, snowmobiling films. That's kind of one thing that I would love to score in the future is kind of just a big snowmobile client. Ski-Doo, they're a big manufacturer of snowmobiles. They have shared some of my work, but I haven't done anything official with them yet. So that's
no free shout-outs to Ski-Doo.
Ski-Doo, yeah.
You have to hit up Jeff first.
I would love to. You know, that's kind of the dream. That's why I got into photography and filmmaking.
Yeah.
Snowmobiling is what got me into it.
Yep.
You know, so the dream
It'd
is
be,
to
bring it all together.
It would be. It'd come full circle, and I'd be very happy to do that. You know.
You got me thinking of the laws. You know, when you were talking about you've always been snowmobiling, and your dad bought that camera, and you saw it, and you're like, whoa. You're like, hey, like we could do some stuff with this. I remember, you know, that's how the laws got into, you know, the skiing, snowboarding, and their videos. Have no idea where those are at, but I remember I'd go over as a kid and watch their videos and just thought those are the cool, you know, and it was all cheap cameras back then, you know, whatever they had. But anyways, that's what I was thinking about when you're, you know, it's kind of like it'd be cool to do full circle, you know, and
that's how a lot of photographers get their start.
Yeah,
I heard, you know, all these YouTubers you see, they're big skateboarders. That's how they got their start.
Yeah,
super into skateboarding, and they wanted to take pictures of it. And that's kind of now they're filming. They have huge clients like Nike. You know, they went from filming little skateboard videos. So, you know, that's kind of what I tell people that are starting out all the time is just like the best camera is the one you have, whether it's a phone or whatever you have. Just go out there and create stuff. Just make whatever it is.
Yep.
You'll never get better unless you make stuff. You can watch all these YouTube videos. You should. It's great. But the best teacher is failure and going out and just doing it, critiquing yourself. And that's what I tell people all the time. And it's fun. No matter what it is, like whatever you enjoy to do, it could be video gaming. Why not try to be a YouTuber or a streamer?
Yeah.
Right? Make content. Just go out there and create stuff. That's what I tell people. Whatever it is, find your thing, run with it. And that might open other doors, or you might take off with whatever you started with. But
Yeah. Well, you know, you're with Kuyu and Spiro, and you know, you like you said, you never thought you'd be on a hunting trip doing it, or a helicopter.
Yeah.
That leads me into this question. This is what I want to ask you. You know, what prepared you to be? You know, you're juggling, you know, your own business, 2 big clients, and then if there's other side little gigs, you know, how do you juggle all that work and the editing and the scheduling and?
Yeah. So it's tough. So I have.
Oh, you're not perfect at it? Oh, damn.
No, not by all means. I am, you know, I'm very all over the place, and sometimes it's a bad thing. I get caught up. Luckily, I don't have any super tight deadlines, but I usually work better under pressure. So if I do have a deadline, I'm a bad procrastinator. So I'm not perfect by any means. Definitely work better under pressure, and it does get tough. I try not to stretch myself too thin. Like right now, I've been out in the field a lot doing all this traveling. I've got a lot of content that I still need to edit. So eventually I'm going to have to cut off any new clients. Like, I can't right now. You know, I got to get these projects done. And then I can start looking forward to putting more stuff on the schedule.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
How is your editing process? So when you you're going to sit down and you're like, okay, I'm going to go through this footage, you know, what's going on in your head? Yeah.
So first thing I do typically is I kind of just organize stuff, right? Like that's the most tedious part. That's not the most fun part about editing. everyone wants to dive right into the creative, like the cool stuff that you get to make. But you got to organize and put the story together. And basically, like if you film an interview, you have to watch that whole interview, cut out all the awkward parts and cut out like all the parts that don't matter. So just the tedious things, organizing the footage and then just going through it all, basically getting rid of what's bad and then keeping what's good, and super tedious, but that's kind of where I start.
Yeah.
Like putting the story together, and then you dive into the creative stuff. Once you get all the footage laid out, then it's like, okay, now what can I make with this? It's like putting a puzzle together. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So.
How did you come about that process?
How did I come about it?
Yeah.
Like, how did I start editing or?
Yeah. Was it your own stuff or?
Yeah, actually, I got really lucky with travel and tourism. One day, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet. I just wanted to do something with marketing. And one day, my boss came in, Sean Parker, and he was like, "You want to go film a snowmobile video?" Because he knew I wanted to learn, and they needed stuff. They needed stuff for winter anyway. So I was like, "Okay, well, I've got snowmobiles. Sean knows how to take photos and video," and so he actually filmed it. And then my job when we got back was to edit it. And I've never edited anything in my entire life. And so I had to literally Google. It took me probably a month to edit a 1.5-minute video. That would probably take me a day, or maybe 4 hours right now. Because I had to literally Google search and YouTube everything, every little thing, how to import a video into Premiere. So, interesting experience. And it was one of those things where it's like, you put your mind to something, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time opening up Premiere, looking at it and thinking, there's no way I'm going to learn how to do this. I just forced myself to spend time on it, and here we are.
Yeah, here you are.
At the back of my hand now, but I just remember the first time opening Premiere thinking like how intimidating this is.
Right.
It's crazy. And I think that applies to so many things. So many people are so scared to dive into the unknown, you know? Like you just got to do it. You just got to dive in. Otherwise you'll never know. You know? And who knows, maybe I dived into Premiere, learned how to use it, and ended up hating it. At least I know that's not an opportunity, I can put that behind me and try to find something else, but I ended up loving it. And I think, not enough people do that.
Yeah.
Dive into the unknown.
Give it enough try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's great that Sean gave you that opportunity. Yeah. And I would second that 100%. When Zach and I started, and I pulled up Audition, another Adobe thing. I'm staring at that thing. I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, I just want the audio to sound good. I'm like, exactly. Same exact thing. It took me way longer than it needed to be, and now it's like I can get stuff out within a day, and and then I have someone do the video because like you said, I probably could have, I pulled up. I hate Premiere. I'll just say it. I hate it. I can't do it. But the audio stuff I can do. So
I feel that I'm the opposite. Audio stuff, I don't want to touch it. I'd rather hire an audio guy.
Yep. You do the audio and I'll do the video. Yeah.
Same with After Effects, any sort of graphic design. I'm a terrible graphic designer.
Oh, okay.
I always have respect for people that can do graphic design.
Yep.
It's not my art style. Like I can't draw. That's why in high school I never thought I was artsy because I couldn't draw. I wasn't interested in painting or anything like that. I was like, okay, well, I must not be creative. There's so many different ways to be creative.
Yeah.
So everyone's creative.
100%. No, 100%. Yeah. So I was the same way in school. I was a sports guy, and I was like, yeah, I'm not a creative guy, and it's here we are. So, no, that's funny. No, that's a great story. Well, I'm trying to. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or something on your mind? No. Jeff, I didn't really prep you kind of like what to talk about or anything. Here's a good question. So you've been traveling a lot, starting to see the country, and what do you like about coming home and coming to the Bighorns and then having the season here? And you guys do tours other mountains in Wyoming, right? Or
nope, not yet.
Okay.
So the plan is to eventually be more than just the Bighorns. Sled Wyoming, when I started it, I always had the vision of it being Sled Wyoming, right? Like
everywhere. Yeah.
So I have some ideas in mind, but a lot of places are, for example, I tried to get a permit in the Beartooth Range, which is over by Cody this year, and they actually are doing an entire new environmental analysis plan, and they said they weren't accepting any new permits, which was a total bummer. I was super excited to be able to do that this year, so I'm trying. But it's out of my control.
Yeah.
So that is the plan to expand. But
Walk through that real quick. I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
So there must be a district here that you got to get a permit.
Yep. Anytime you want to make money on the national forest, you have to get a permit.
Right.
Whether it's a temporary permit, priority use permit, or whatever. So a lot of work I do is through the Forest Service. I have to be able to promote guided tours. We are fully permitted to guide in the Bighorn National Forest.
Gotcha.
Yep. And they have their own rules, and so not just anyone can go start a guide company.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but you can't legally guide on the Bighorn National
Right.
Forest. You'll get a fat ticket, and so you have to go through all those steps. And
Gotcha. Okay.
that's honestly one of the hardest parts about Sled WYO is getting insurance and going through the whole permit process. And it is the federal government you're working with, so it's not like they can just instantly write you a permit. You have to go through all the bureaucratic stuff.
Yep.
And that can take months sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a headache, but.
Well, and like you said, they're going to go through a whole environmental study. So yeah, they're like, we're not even going to accept any.
Yeah, and that's what happened in the Beartooth Range.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we're reevaluating our oversnow environmental, whatever they call it,
Sure.
analysis.
Yeah.
So we're not going to accept any new permits at this time. And it's like, well, okay, bummer. That's a total bummer. Like, wouldn't you rather have a guide up there that knows avalanche safety, knows wilderness safety, all that sort of, like, wouldn't you rather have a professional up there taking people rather than people who aren't professional getting lost? And so that's a whole different. I was like, okay,
yep,
I understand, but total bummer.
Well, that's an opportunity for Sled WYO though, for the statewide mission is, why you would want educated guides,
Right.
and stuff like these, all the things you said, safety, hazards.
Yeah.
They know where they're going.
Definitely pros to having a guide.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed
absolutely.
to doing unguided, especially with a local that like knows the place like the back of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see so many people going in the Bighorns not knowing where to go, because
Yep.
there are wrong places to go in the Bighorns.
Yes.
There are places that you can't go, that you can get in trouble if you go in, and we have so many microclimates. 5 miles down the road might get 20 inches of snow, and 5 miles the other way might get nothing.
Yep.
So,
Well, and shoot, like last year, I mean, it just felt like a record of people getting lost up there.
Oh,
and who knows what that is, if that's just more people are here, or like you said,
Yeah.
more people were coming out here and going, and
yeah.
so safety is
Yeah.
a big thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you see it all the time. That's kind of our priority is safety, obviously.
Yep.
We do all this epic stuff, but we want you to be safe. I mean, that's really why you would get a guide.
Yep.
In the first place. But,
Yep. Safe and have a fun time.
Yeah. But yeah, having the Bighorns, like going back to your question about what's it like to doing all this travel, coming back home to Sheridan.
Yeah.
I grew up here. I lived other places. I lived in Virginia for a little bit. I actually played college baseball over there for a summer, and I lived over in Virginia Beach for a summer. And that was a good time. And then I lived in Montana for a year up there, and it was good. Sheridan is definitely a place to call home. People don't quite understand how good we have it here.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's places that are better, but it's definitely places that are worse. And so many people, especially younger people, they want to leave Sheridan.
Yeah.
But I totally get it. I think everyone should leave their hometown at some point. Go out there and explore the world, regardless of where you're from. You could be from the coolest city in America. It's like, go out, leave your hometown, have those experiences. And, leaving for me made me appreciate how good Sheridan has it.
Yeah.
There was aspects I liked about those other places. But,
Sure.
Sheridan's not a bad place to call home. And maybe I'll end up somewhere else one day, but I think, as a place to raise a family, definitely Sheridan's one of the best places
Yeah.
to do it. And you can't beat, the Bighorns. I've been up there almost every single weekend of my whole life, and I'm still finding new places. So we're incredibly lucky.
Yeah. Great answer. That leads me into my next question, kind of last question. We kind of talked about Sled WYO and some goals for that, but where do you see yourself in 3-5 years, professionally, in your side gig stuff and maybe Sled WYO?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would like to see Sled WYO be maybe a little more, less of a side hustle, because right now it's definitely a side hustle. It's not paying my bills. The freelance photography and stuff is what keeps the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see Sled WYO maybe be a little more self-sufficient, and maybe it is something that I can that's all I do in the winter. I can say no to freelance gigs because I got to focus on this. But yeah, I'd like to see Sled WYO be a little more organized, full rentals, full gear, guided tours going consistently,
Yeah.
as opposed to more of a side gig. So that's one. And then, I would really like to just have 2 or 3 big clients for filmmaking that just keep me busy. Right now, I KUYU is my biggest one. And then I do side gigs here and there that are maybe one-time clients. So that's kind of the dream is 2 or 3 big clients and then Sled WYO full-time in the winter.
Yeah.
So kind of what I'm doing now, just bigger scale.
Yep. Just keep building those, keep building the steps there. Awesome. I love it. Well, Jeff, where can people find Sled WYO, and then where can people find you if they have a side piece that they a side project that they want to reach out to you for?
If you're interested in getting the family out this winter, if you're from Sheridan, and you want to take the family out for a scenic trail ride, or maybe you're from Sheridan and want to do an extreme backcountry ride, you don't have to have any previous snowmobile experience. We'll take you out regardless. SledWYO.com is our website. You can also find us on Instagram. It's just at Sled WYO, and then Facebook is Sled Wyoming. So that's for the snowmobiling stuff. And then if you want to work with me for photography or filmmaking, I specialize in tourism and outdoor stuff. I can also do documentary work as well. Just my name, Jeffrey Shanor, at jeffreyshanor.com is my website. Or just reach out to me. I use my Instagram kind of as a portfolio for my photography. I'm always, I won't be afraid of an Instagram DM.
Yeah.
No way to be too formal.
Yeah. And don't be offended if Jeff kind of shoots you down, busy guy. He's got a lot of projects, and if he's got a lot of editing going on, he probably can't take on any more projects.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely all over the place, but I can make time for you if it's a cool project. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, if it sounds good to you and it fits into your passions.
Yeah, I'm always willing to listen. I'll never be like, no, I don't want to. So
love it. Well, Jeff, I'm excited that we were able to have you in and have you in before the season, so we can definitely promote the the family scenic route tours that you guys are going to do, and love to see Sled WYO keep growing, and super proud of the KUYU. Like that's I think that's big time. That's fun, and I think it's just big time when he's like, I can't really tell you where I've been and who I've been with. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's where we got something big going. But Jeff, thanks for coming by the studio, and we'll catch everyone next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.